Good evening, everyone. This is Nishan from ET Manufacturing, and today we are going to discuss something very important in the manufacturing industry. Sustainability, circular economy, which is the biggest trend around the world, and how it's shaping the manufacturing industry and how the way we manufacture products and all. And second thing is about the material, aluminium, because of its lightweight and high strength and corrosion resistance property, it is finding its applications in various industries such as automotive, aerospace, medical, and many other industries as well. And to discuss more on this, we have with us Mr. Naivedya Agarwal, who is Managing Director and Co-founder of Runaya. Welcome, Mr. Naivedya.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Nishant.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So, Naivedya, I understand you founded Runaya in the year 2016, if I'm not wrong. So, would you please talk us about the journey from 2016 till now, and what exactly led you to start this company where you are, doing some of the key trending things such as the circular economy, waste management, and creating some meaningful products. So, if you could just talk a little bit about how you started and how has the journey been so far?
So again, thank you, Nishant. Runaya, started thinking about Runaya in the middle of 2016 and really spent, a good amount of time trying to understand what were the large macro trends that would shape manufacturing in India, in the 2, 3 decades going ahead. And what we realized was that as India transitions from a 2, 3 trillion dollar economy to a 7 to 10 trillion dollar economy, manufacturing would play a huge role in this transition, purely because of the amount of opportunity in terms of employment that it generates. And if you see, any developed economy in the world today have all grown on the back of manufacturing before then transitioning to a software and, technology driven economy. And
Right.
that being said, we were also clear that, we didn't want to get into any business that was a commodity. So we said that let's focus on areas where we can really leverage technology, bring in partners who are the best in class partners, benchmark partners globally, and see how we can bring them to India across, the two themes that we decided to focus on. And one of which was purely, circular economy, sustainability, and ESG, and the other one was technology driven manufacturing. And the Modi government especially is very clear that, in a way that they don't want to go the China route, in that, we don't want to become the assembly capital of the world. We
Right.
want to backward integrate and go as far down the value chain domestically, so that, the bulk of the value is created within the country rather than, a lot of the parts being imported and just assembled in India. So as part
Right.
of that vision, we thought that, what are the different value streams, technology value streams that we can look at, and how can we play a role in, making those, as part of the Make in India scheme, etc. How can we look to backward integrate different value chains as far as possible in the country? Basis those, very clear two themes that we identified, we've currently set up, 4 different businesses with the fifth one on the way. And so we have our recycling business, which is split into two. So, even within ESG and recycling, when we did a little bit of study, what we realized was that all of the focus that some of the other young entrepreneurs are focusing on today, seem to be around the post-consumer waste, which is a lot more in the media. It's a lot more talked about, which is, plastic, water, municipal waste, etc. But there was very little attention being paid to industrial waste. And if you look at purely from a numbers perspective, industrial waste generation is about 10 times the generation as compared to post-consumer waste. So we said
Right.
that that seems to be a large enough problem, for us to spend our time tackling. And then we started off with the metal industry, because, globally, what we found is that metal recycling is now playing a huge role in the purchasing, mindset that a lot of global, companies have, whether it's Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, whoever they may be, everyone is looking for recycled materials. So we said, let's
Right.
see what we can do around the metal recycling side. So we started off with aluminum recycling, where we process waste products. So about 2% of primary of any aluminum smelter
Mm-hmm.
is a product that is called aluminum dross.
Right.
And this 2%, currently is either stored or landfilled or sold as scrap. So what we actually did is that we worked with a German entrepreneur to figure out a way how we can treat this dross more efficiently. And we currently have a 50% market share in the country where
Right.
we take the aluminum dross, we recover, so about 90% of the metal that is in the dross is recovered. So it's a 90% efficiency rate in the process. And we recover this aluminum, which has been certified by a Norwegian agency to be the lowest carbon footprint aluminum anywhere in the world. And the balance, so this is about 50% of the dross that is generated. And the balance 50% is currently sold as a briquette to the steel industry, where it's used in the ladle refining furnace to reduce the carbon emissions when the steel is made.
Right.
And what we are now actually working on is that we worked with IIT Kharagpur and got a joint patent along with them, where we have now developed a process to actually convert the balance, non-metallic material which we are converting to briquettes. We now have a patent to actually convert that um, to ATH and then high purity alumina. And what that will in effect do, it will actually go back from aluminum to high purity alumina and then go back into the aluminum value chain, creating a truly circular economy. And once we cracked aluminum, we said, let's try and move, see what other metals are out there where we can add value. And we said that we can start focusing on the zinc sector. And if, in zinc, manufacturing, there are two streams of waste that are generated. One is the smelter waste, and one is the
Okay.
mine tailings. So we said, let's start with mine tailings. So from the we said let's start with smelter waste. So from the smelter waste, we currently recover zinc, lead, silver, but
Okay.
we also recover cadmium, nickel, lithium, cobalt, etc., which, as you know, are all new age materials used in semiconductors, EV batteries, etc. And we
Right.
are seeing, increasing demand for recycled and recovered, metal rather than primary metal that a lot of global customers are looking to buy. So we've seen good traction on that front. And as
Right.
phase two, we are now looking to set up a project. It's a much larger project. We
Mm-hmm.
are, in the process of finalizing a technology partner where we will start processing all of the mine tailings. And this is about a 8 to 10 times opportunity the size of the smelter waste. So that's,
Okay.
in terms of the growth that we're looking at on the zinc side. And then we also have two JVs that we are working on, one of which is operational and one of which is in the process of being operationalized. Um,
Okay.
we have a JV with an American company called Minova, who are global leaders in ground support solutions.
Okay.
So these are rock bolts and resins that are essentially used to stop tunnels from collapsing. So whether it's a hydropower tunnel, railway tunnel, highway tunnel, metro construction, underground mine, all of these tunnels use these products. And
Okay.
so we manufacture a part of the Minova product portfolio in India. And we are now also in the process of we started the capex to set up a project to manufacture gas atomized metallurgical powders in India. And these, spherical atomized aluminum powders are used, in the space industry, aerospace industry. It's used to coat solar panels. It's used to, on automotive pigments, etc. It's used in 3D printing. So all
Right.
very, high-end upcoming uses of these products, which again, with again, a key focus on, make in India. These powders are currently imported by ISRO, where they import these powders to make their solid fuel. The solar panel manufacturers import these powders from Taiwan and China, um, to to make the pigment with which they coat their panels. So it's all about bringing in technology to India, for the first time, and really seeing how we can grow and scale that both in India as well as use the low cost manufacturing base of India to make it an export hub globally.
Got it. Got it. Thanks for the detailed explanation of Runaya and what you guys do. You also spoke about, our economy going from 3 trillion currently to 7 to 8 trillion and 10 trillion in coming decade or so. And you mentioned that, it can't just be done with the service-driven economy. We have to have a manufacturing-driven economy. Currently, manufacturing's role in the India's GDP is about 5 to 16, 15 to 16%. How can we work together as a you as an industrialist and then the government? What kind of things we need to do as a nation so that we can enhance our manufacturing capabilities, right? Not just from not from 15% to 25% in coming decade.
So I think the Modi government has done a very good job in promoting manufacturing.
Yeah,
They've taken a lot of initiatives to reduce the amount of compliances that are required. It's become easier and easier to acquire land, to set up factories, to do greenfield projects. There's single window clearance in most states for all, greenfield projects. You now have industrial parks that are being set up where water and electricity are provided to you. You don't have to invest in land. You get land on a very nominal rate on a 99-year lease. So the
right,
government has done a lot of initiatives to help promote, uh, manufacturing as a industry. But I think I think more than anything, what needs to change, uh, is a little bit of the mindset where a lot of the younger generation are not looking to go into
yeah.
manufacturing. Everyone wants to look at
It's a worldwide
what's
problem, not just India.
what's look at AI technology. Yes, that's important. But in a country like India, where you have 1.5 billion people, you
Right,
can't expect, the technology AI industry to employ so many people, right?
right, right,
You do need that manufacturing base of semi-skilled workers, diploma graduate holders, etc., who also need to be employed. And that can only
right.
be done through the manufacturing sector.
Right, right. But do you also see that we have the required skill available in India, especially for the some sort of complex part manufacturing, design, and any kind of innovation related activities? If not, what can be
Absolutely.
done? Yeah,
No, absolutely. I think there's a tremendous amount of skilled manpower that's available in India. Of course, everyone only talks about, the few IITs, IIMs, etc., but there is a whole ecosystem, training and colleges, etc. But that being said, I think we do need to focus on developing, the mass employment generating colleges around diplomas, graduates, etc., who can actually take a large amount of people and get
Mhm.
them ready to enter the workforce.
Right, right. In the answer, you also mentioned that Modi government is also ensuring that we don't fall in the way China grew and we just make the components and all. However, the campaigns that we have, like Make in India, PLI schemes, or recently in budget they were announced the national manufacturing policy and all. These are all the kind of initiative to encourage manufacturing. Do we have anything where we R&D in India, design in India? Because if we don't do that, if we don't promote R&D in India, design in India kind of thing, then we'll not be able to enhance our own capabilities in manufacturing. We'll continue to be only doing the part manufacturing or batch manufacturing. So do you think that's needed? If it is there, what do you think the current status is at this moment?
So I think like, even if you look at us, for example, right, we do have at all of our, whether they're, businesses that we run or businesses that we do a JV,
Right,
we are looking to do innovation. And I
right,
think, and I don't use this in the wrong way, but I really do think where India's innovation can really succeed is when it comes to things like Jugaad. And I don't
Right.
mean this, in the wrong way at all. I mean in frugal innovation, innovating for cost, etc. Like for
Right.
example, in our JV with Minova, um, we have an in-house innovation center that works with our manufacturing team. And what we've actually been able to do is actually develop a product that is 30% cheaper than the product that's imported, but has the same strength,
Okay.
right? So there are, a lot of places where, a lot of the innovation today tends to target the developed world, and where India can really take the lead is, innovating around, cost efficiency, making products that are used in developing markets. I think India can really take the lead there in terms of, building products specifically for that market, which may not be
Right.
targeted by some of the larger global economies.
Right. 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 So now coming back to the business you operate in, which is more on the circular economy or the sustainability. So as we all know that metal recovery is key to reducing industrial waste and creating circular economy. What are the latest innovation according to you in this space, and how do they improve the resource efficiency?
So, for example, in our green aluminum business last year, we recovered, we prevented 40,000 tons of aluminum draw cement in landfills. FY26 will be at 60,000 tons. So there is a lot of, there are people, there are other companies, if you
Right.
look at even EV battery recycling,
Yeah. Yeah.
there are a lot of homegrown technology, homegrown industries, businesses who are
Hmm.
developing their own innovative technologies, not licensing global technologies, but actually developing their own technologies to even recycle, something like a lithium ion battery, right? So there are a lot of people who are working around, innovating around the circular economy.
So, when it comes to, recovering the industrial waste and creating a meaningful product or a material out of it, where do you see India stands at this moment compared to the developed economies like Germany, USA, Japan, Korea kind of countries?
So, I think India is probably the only developing country in the world. If
Hmm.
if whether you see the way our Prime Minister speaks at, G20 summit, or, how our leaders speak at the COP summits, etc., there is a very, very clear focus on renewable, on a circular economy. And this is a stance that is very different to a lot of other developing countries. Like people
Right,
don't realize that almost 45-46% of India's power today is renewable, right?
right.
The total power generated in the country, and
Yeah,
there
yeah.
is no other developing country which can lay claim to
Right.
such a statistic, right? So there is a
Yeah.
very clear focus from the government. There are PLI schemes, there are manufacturing link schemes, etc., that are all geared towards promoting initiatives around the circular economy.
Right, right, right. You rightly mentioned that, when it comes to installation of solar panels or the, windmills, I think India is way ahead and I think at par with some of the developed economies as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you see with recent geopolitical challenges, whether it was lack of availability or inability of Europe to buy gas from Russia, or the way the current US government thinks, ESG has almost not become a priority for a lot of global economies who have
Right.
all increased, and it's unfortunate, have all increased their production of coal fired energy and power plants,
True,
instead of reducing it. Whereas India is only on an upward trajectory when it comes to our renewable commitments.
true, true, true. You mentioned about the geopolitical situation, and we are also seeing that because of geopolitical situation, it's imperative that we are self-sustainable, as in self-reliance, make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and all these campaigns we are talking about. And one thing which where we are still lagging or we have to still work, thanks to company like US who are doing a lot of groundbreaking work, innovations in material science, but it's still a lot of materials are still being imported in India because it's not available. For example, many materials which used in the space and aerospace industry, medical industry, tool steels are still being imported in India. So how do you see the situation going forward, and what kind of environment we'll have in future? Are we able to develop these materials in-house, like within India?
So honestly, I don't have anything specific, on this.
Yeah.
But the way the government is promoting Indian industry and looking at the quality of entrepreneurs that we have in the country, I see no reason why, in the next 5, 10, 15 years, India will start to develop a lot of these technologies, in-house in India, either through, to our own innovation or through, local collaboration with global partners.
Right, right, right. So one of the business that you operate very closely with is aluminum industry, and as sustainability becomes bigger priority, how do you think aluminum industry evolving to reduce its carbon footprint and produce green aluminum adoptions, and especially industries like EVs and aerospace who are looking for lightweights and continuously. So I think adoption of aluminum will continue to grow.
Absolutely. So, aluminum has always been known as a green metal
Yeah.
because of its recyclability, right? So
Right.
that's, an advantage in aluminum's favor. Plus, it's extremely lightweight and, it's durable, etc. And what we are also seeing is that there is more and more capacities being
Mm-hmm.
announced where, aluminum production is increasingly made using renewable resources.
Right.
So I'll give you an example that if you look at aluminum that's made purely with um, thermal sources of energy, with coal, etc., each ton of aluminum consumes about 12 to 14 tons of CO2 per ton of aluminum. Then you go to the renewable side where aluminum manufactured 100% using renewable energy only consumes about 4 tons of carbon per ton of aluminum, right? So
Okay.
that's the kind of difference between the carbon footprint of, coal-fired aluminum versus renewable aluminum. And if you look at the Indian industry today, I believe about 15% of the aluminum that's made in India is made in renewable sources. And all of the major producers have announced, significant investments in increasing their renewable capacity. And then if you
Okay.
come to the aluminum that we recycle, and that we recover,
Mm-hmm.
it only consumes about half a ton of carbon per ton of aluminum, which is way
Oh.
below the global benchmark of green. And this we've had certified by a global Norwegian agency,
Mm-hmm.
who has done this assessment for us. And so that, that is something that we're very, very proud of.
Right.
And, in terms of companies, we've seen a lot of excitement, uh, from the Teslas, Microsoft, Apples of the world, who are increasingly looking to, have a greener supply chain,
True.
who are looking to have our, to look for the lower carbon alternatives.
Right. 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 So I think the companies you mentioned, all of them have, set their target by 2030, by 2035, they'll have 100% carbon neutral or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, my next question is about how feasible this sustainability movement or the recyclable waste or circular economy is for the MSME sectors. For example, there are manufacturers, component makers, and all. They also generate some of the industrial waste. But for because it's a small business, they are busy in their own challenges and customers and business and all. How feasible it is for them to go for the sustainability movement, and if at all they go, what kind of cost benefit or time benefit they may have. If in a layman term, if you can just explain for the companies you work with, you must be recovering industrial waste from certain companies. So what kind of benefits they get?
So this is a very interesting question.
Yeah.
And, whenever we look at sustainability,
Right.
as an MSME ourselves, the value proposition that we always offer our customers is that it has to be win-win, no one, especially a small to medium-sized company, is very unlikely to do sustainability for sustainability's sake. They
Right.
are looking at some sort of win from the sustainability initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
So, even for us, the model that we work is that, we actually work on a tolling model where all of the metal that we recover, we give back to the smelter or we
Okay.
give back to the producer, and they get the benefit of the green branding of selling that green material, for which one, they get a slight premium to their existing product, plus
Mm-hmm.
they get a cost benefit because it's currently product that they would have sold as scrap. So,
Right.
for example, if we say that we recover 2% aluminum dross and we recover, say, aluminum about 1% from that, it's an immediate 1% addition to the bottom line, right? Not
Okay.
just the top line, right? Because this was currently being, you know, stored in landfills or kept as scrap or sold as scrap. So, it's an immediate win-win for both partners, right? And I think
Yeah.
that has to be the future of green. That
Yeah.
unless it's a win-win for both partners, I don't think it's something that can succeed in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. I clearly see it's absolute win-win for everyone, and they also get a tag of working with sustainability because some of the largest companies are also look at how their supply chain, how their vendors are also
Absolutely.
uh, you know uh, working on a sustainability things. Right. So as you know, Navidya, the biggest trends in the industry, manufacturing industry, is about AI, IoT, smart factory, cloud, machine learning, and all those things. How do you think the industries are adopting these technologies, and these kind of technologies can, help industries around the world attain more sustainability in future? And
So
specifically in the waste management side, how AI can help waste management and recover the materials.
So AI is absolutely the future. And in fact, I had the privilege of attending a talk when Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, was in town.
Hmm.
I had an opportunity to go and attend a talk that he had given.
Hmm.
And one of the things, someone asked in the audience that, for my industry, how can I use AI, right?
Right,
And, he went into a very, we went in long description of what he did. And
right.
Jensen Wang just put it very simply. He said, Identify the top three problems and opportunities in your company and use AI to solve those challenges."
Okay.
Right? It's
Yeah.
not about, it's AI can be used today for anything.
Right, right,
Identify your top three challenges, your top three opportunities, and see how you can use AI to help you solve and address those challenges, right?
right,
So for
right.
us, we are using AI to help us identify process efficiencies, reduce our scrap percentage,
Okay.
improve our quality. So we have an AI monitoring system that actually monitors our material as it comes off the line, and it detects defects without any human intervention.
So you have sensor base injected in certain machines or
Yeah,
cameras so that it can
cameras. Yeah,
give you the data, and then you are analyzing the data as well for the predictive
yes,
and preventive. Okay,
yeah.
okay, okay. Nice, nice. Just last question from my side. Looking ahead, what global trends do you believe will have the biggest impact on the metal mining or recycling industries over the coming decade? And where do you think India stands after like a decade or so in the global manufacturing arena?
So I think on the metal side specifically, it's very clear that sustainability is going to be the big driver of
Right,
consumption globally. And I think that for two reasons. One, having sustainable practices, that we've seen today often actually end up in reducing cost, right?
right,
So it actually provides a benefit to the manufacturer itself to reduce your cost of production and improve your margins. And
right,
we are also seeing that, it's currently come in steel, where green steel is actually receiving a fairly significant premium to non-green steel.
right.
And while it's not there currently, we're hoping that the same thing happens, whether in zinc or aluminum, etc., where green, metal will start getting a premium in global markets. And that, I think, that can come through. It'll really help push the whole sustainability agenda forward, and really, encourage and incentivize companies to focus on recycling, focus on renewable, and really, take ESG as a business priority, and not just something that just looks good to investors, but actually take it as a serious business priority.
Got it. Great. Thank you so much, Naivedya. I've been talking to many manufacturing leaders around the world. Everyone talks about sustainability being their biggest focus. And here you are not just implementing it in your company, but also helping so many other companies achieve their sustainability goals. So nice knowing about your initiatives and the work, stuff that you guys are doing. Also, your opinion on India's manufacturing, where you talk about if India has to become a Viksit Bharat, we have to have a manufacturing driven economy and not just the service driven economy. Thank you so much for your time and talking to us today. And I wish you best for the work you are doing. Thank you so much.